Been having a lot of nice schedule-related conversations this morning, and we'll continue that right now with our buddy Chris Carter from the Post-Gazette and the Locked On Steelers podcast. Hello, Chris.
What's up, fellas? How we doing this morning?
It's a Friday.
Yes.
And we're about to have summer weather.
Yes.
How are you doing? It's excellent.
Oh, yeah, baby. It's a great week.
All right, Chris, what stood out to you about this schedule?
Well, the Steelers, we knew they had 6 teams that were playoff teams from last year on the schedule, and 5 of them are coming after that bye week, and including both their matchups with the Ravens and their road game against the Bengals. To me, that means this team better start out hot and get going early before the bye week. I think that this team really needs to be a 6-2, maybe or at least 5-3 going into that week 9 bye. I think it's good that the bye week's in the middle of the season. I think that's always better to give you a mid-season reset so you can get guys back who've been injured and just catch your breath a little bit. But I think they really got to capitalize on those early games. They got 3 NFC South games. They've got the Browns 2 times. They haven't won in Cleveland since 2021. But one thing that I encourage people, one thing I think is still funny, the Steelers, they have lost to the Browns at home just one time in Acrisure Stadium history when crowds are a crowd is allowed to attend. And so whereas some people were like, this is ridiculous. They don't get the bye after the New Orleans Saints. And I'm like, buddy, the Browns at home has been a bye for the last 25 years at this point.
Last quarter
I did my research and I found at least 15 Whippeal teams or Whippeal high schools have more wins at Acrisure Stadium / Heinz Field than the Browns. And they have to go to all the way to the championship of the playoffs and then win the championship to get that shot just one time a year. And the Browns automatically get to play at the stadium every year because of NFL rules.
Yeah, I think West Allegheny is one of those teams, high school teams, that has more Whippeal wins in Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium history than the Browns. Chris, which team in the NFC or in the AFC North do you think will be better this year outside of the Steelers? The Browns, obviously, new head coach, Ravens, new head coach, and then you have the Bengals with Zach Taylor. Which team do you think will be better this coming season?
I think it's going to be the Bengals. I think particularly because I think that Joe Burrow can be healthier this year. But you look at the additions that they made on defense. They said, they could have used that 10th overall pick on a Caleb Downs-like player who I thought would have been really good. But they said, you know what? No, we want a veteran who's in his prime to come here. Now they've got Dexter Lawrence. You throw in Boye Mafe and you throw in Jonathan Allen. That defensive front's going to be a lot nastier this year. That alone is going to just make them better. Now, will they capitalize on it? Who knows? The Bengals have completely fallen on their face almost as many times as the Browns. But just personnel-wise, I think the Bengals should be a better team and a more dangerous team this year. And because of that, I think it's going to be interesting to see, who wins the AFC North. The Steelers, I still think are going to be contenders, but I don't think it's going to be a given who should be the favorite right now. I think a lot of people point to the Ravens, and I think the Ravens with Ioane is going to that should shore up a big weakness that kind of killed them in a lot of games last year. But I'm curious to see, how do they keep stepping forward with their new coach and Jesse Minter. There's a lot of stuff up in the air with this division. I think it's going to make it kind of exciting.
Chris Carter of the Post-Gazette and the Locked On Steelers podcast joining us on the Fan Hotline presented by Sullivan Super Service, Pittsburgh's trusted plumbing and HVAC provider for over 50 years. You say no big issue that they don't have the bye after the game in France because it's the Browns. They have the bye after that. Is there anywhere that they got screwed? Because 2 years ago it was the 3 games in 11 days. Anything you look at and you go, come on, this is crap.
I think there's a few things that they got screwed up. First of all, the game at Philadelphia, I'm sorry, that's a death sentence. They have not won in Philadelphia since 1965. This is also the 3rd straight time these two teams have been scheduled, and they've all been in Philadelphia. I don't understand how that keeps happening to the Steelers. And it's the vice versa too. The Eagles have never won at Acrisure / Heinz. It's just whoever gets the home game wins that cross-state matchup. So I thought it was kind of weird that they got a 3rd time there. I also think it's weird that the Steelers, for the life of them, cannot get a home Thursday night football game against a division rival. They play the Browns in Cleveland on a Thursday night, coming off a division games. It seems like every time, I think this is at least the third time in the last 4 years that's happened. I went back through the history of their schedules. They haven't had a home Thursday night football game against a division rival since 2015. And the reason I think that that's significant is that, people say, oh, the Steelers stink on the road on Thursday night football. Most teams stink on the road on Thursday night football. And in fact, most teams stink on the road, especially against divisional opponents on Thursday night football. Like I used StatHead, to track that across the board. And I think like the win percentages was like less than 20%. For teams that travel on the road for a Thursday night football game to play a divisional opponent that knows them. And so I just think it's weird that the Steelers seem to be just on the receiving end of having to play these road games instead of a balance like everyone else. So I thought that was kind of rough. And whereas the Browns should count as a bye, I do think the Browns should be circling that game like this is our chance to finally beat Pittsburgh when there's fans in the stadium. I know they have that playoff game, but I'm sorry. Like people talk about LeBron James's bubble championship doesn't count. There were no fans there. Like there wasn't a crowd there, and you can't tell me it was a coincidence that there wasn't a crowd there because they've only won at Acrisure Stadium / Heinz Field when a crowd's there one time in the last 25 years. So I think the Browns got a couple favors there, and I think it's kind of wild that they keep getting the Eagles matchup. It's also going to be interesting to see because after that bye week, I see the Bengals as a playoff team, the Eagles as a playoff team, the Broncos as a playoff team, the Texans as a playoff team, the Jaguars as a playoff team, the Ravens as a playoff team, the Carolina Panthers, if the NFC South just stinks, is a playoff team. So you're going to have like right off the bat just a run of all those playoff squads. That's what I'm saying. They got to get these wins early.
Chris, another potential playoff team, and the Steelers open up with them, the Falcons. How do you think Stefanski's going to do down there?
I think he's going to be decent. I think that he's going to have that team ready. It's going to be interesting because, like, historically, like the Steelers, there's certain teams over the last 19 years I think that that people have kind of taken for granted. The Steelers have just owned under Mike Tomlin. They never lost to the Falcons with Mike Tomlin. In fact, they're 5-0 against them. They also, in the franchise's history, they've never lost at home to the Falcons. So I think that should be a game where historically, if Mike McCarthy wants to come in and set a strong tone, if he comes and beats the Falcons right away, that would be a good way to start it. But the Falcons, they've got a lot of talent, and I'll be curious to see who their quarterback is. Is it Penix? Is it Tua? Because Penix has been hurt. But I think they can. I think the Steelers should still be ready for that game. Again, the NFC South, man. I think that they got 3 games against the NFC South before the bye: Buccaneers, Saints, Falcons. I truly think they need to go 3-0 in those games so that they can set the stage for them.
Chris, this is a humdinger. Are you ready for this one?
Uh-oh.
I've been loading this one up. Here we go.
All right.
I'll give you 1 second. Texas brought to you by Dickerson and Associates, a personal injury law firm where they always say there's never a fee unless we get money for you. What is your Steelers record prediction after looking at the schedule? You laugh now, but wait, here's the second part.
Oh, okay. I thought that was it. Okay.
What would it be if Mike Tomlin were coach? Any different?
Okay. All right. What would it be? Okay. So right now, I like the Steelers to go 11-6. I think they could take a step forward from last year because of their receiver room. I think that if they hit the ground running with this offense, they could build up an early lead. And I just think also some of the teams that were really good last year might take a step back. Like I don't think the Broncos and the Patriots will be as good as they were. I have questions about the Jaguars. And if Mike Tomlin was coach, I'd have them either at 11-6 or like 12-5. I think that I really think that this Steelers team could be dangerous this year if they connect on a few things. They need this offense to come out clicking. I think that if Mike Tomlin, first of all, if Mike Tomlin was coach, I do wonder if this draft would have been a little bit different.
Sure.
With the sway that he would have had there, and I think they might have gotten some players who might have been. I think this draft was more about development picks, guys for the long-term picks. I think there might have been 1 or 2 more guys that they brought in who would have a more immediate starting impact. But I still think this team has a lot of potential. I like the receivers that they've put together. I still like the young core that they've been assembling. So I think that there's some really good chances here. But they got to strike early, and I'd say that either way, if McCarthy or Tomlin were head coach right now. if they come out the gate 4-4 going into the bye, that second half season could get really rough.
Chris, this was wonderful.
Yes.
It always is. The compliments just flowing in on the text line. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Chris.
You too.